I want to look at a clip of you could say, a piece that sheds some light and clarity on what DOGE is actually doing up there in the government. Before, though, I'd just like to give you a quick word from our video sponsors, Small Debts.
To get your security deposit back or dealing with unfair charges? At Small Debts, our tenant advocate service fights to get your money back. No stress, no hassle. Take control today. Visit smalldebts.co.uk and start your case now.
So this is very good, the way they break it down, and the guy from the Treasury, as he's questioned, really illuminates what's going on over there and what their role is. This comes a little bit later in the video. So here we go.
Dismantle federal agencies, fire people, transfer them, offer them early retirement. I move that the committee subpoena Elon Musk to come before it as a witness at the earliest possible moment.
There's been a motion and second. The motion is not debatable.
I think it's outrageous that this committee will not even entertain a motion.
No, you state your...
Chairman, that's not a point of order.
Somebody who's breaking the law and dismantling our federal agencies.
My job is to look out and make sure that we don't have any kings or queens in this country, but it seems like y'all have decided that it's going to be Mr. King and...
Damn, they sure are a noisy bunch, aren't they?
And his queen, and y'all can pick which one is which.
Nobody in the United States feels like anybody could give them a full accounting of where all this money goes. We're $30-something trillion in debt. We spend more money than we bring in. This is...
I'll tell you what, something that's going to come up a bit later that really, really surprised me is the fact that the Biden admin was able to spend $2 million plus on studying transgender mice and rats and doing all kinds of experiments on them. To what end?
Been going on and on for years. Both parties say they're going to do something about it, and then we meet about it, and we have committees, and we fight about it, and we have elections, and no one ever does anything. And then Trump shows up and unleashes Elon Musk on the federal government. And finally, people are like, well, maybe if we break a few eggs, we might turn up a few omelets here. And I just think the politics of this are going to give them a lot of leash in Washington, because they're going to end up turning over things that everyone's going to agree, oh, yeah, that was really stupid. But Elon Musk
also does. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I got to tell you guys, I guess you can officially say that we are in the Twilight Zone. We're in Looney Tunes world when it comes to the mainstream liberal media and the coverage of Elon Musk and his DOGE team trying to make the government more efficient. Okay, the liberal media, they are obsessed with Elon Musk and who's on this team, who's working for Elon, what are they doing, right? Why are they stealing grandma's Social Security, right? This is what they're saying, okay? They are hyperventilating. And let's just say that the mainstream liberal media got a pleasant surprise with some of the information they found out about these whiz kids that are working to expose the Democrat Party. Take a look.
Yes, so this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online. So that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside DOGE. And we looked into his background. And so we found, several notable things, Aaron, one of which is that this individual has founded multiple companies, including one with another unfortunate name, Tesla.Sexy LLC, which he established in 2021. He would have been around 16 years old. Now, this LLC controls dozens of web domains.
Look at Big Ball. Have you ever...
Thing is, these are smart dudes, so just, trying to make them sound like idiots when they're hired by the Treasury to do a job. I think it's a weak, cheap shot coming from the liberal media and the Democrat side. Anyway, we press on.
Seen a more Joffrey-looking mother in your life. He looks like if Jimmy Neutron joined the Hitler Youth.
Big balls. All right. Let's go.
Look at Big Balls. Have you ever seen a more Joffrey-looking mother in your life? He looks like if Jimmy Neutron joined the Hitler Youth. This guy looks like if the phrase, "Do you know who my father is?" gained sentience. According to Wired, some government employees said that Crown Prince Big Balls has appeared on calls where workers were made to go over code they had written and justify their jobs. Imagine working decades in public service, distributing humanitarian aid, and then having to defend your job to a kid who just discovered the show Family Guy, probably. Like, he's like, we need to fire these people. They are so not giggity.
Yeah, so you see, now you heard that. I guess you could say that the jokes write themselves, except I believe that the joke is on the Democrats and the mainstream liberal media, because once again, they find themselves on the opposite aisle of what the American people want, right? They find themselves in a place where they're basically saying, you know what, it's totally fine for the federal government to spend money on useless, wasteful things, sending our taxpayer dollars overseas to conduct CIA missions and to overthrow dictatorships and all types of crazy stuff that they send our money overseas for. That's totally fine. That's totally okay. We want to continue to waste your taxpayer dollars. You want to continue to tax you into oblivion. That is what the Democrats are standing for right now. Okay. But they're pretending as if what they're standing for is transparency.
We should have an oversight committee to look at these things. And that was the clip that we played was the oversight committee. And, you know, Republicans voted it down, this review of Elon Musk, 20-19. My problem is not the review, but who is in office, this unelected billionaire, and what the heck is he doing? Like, we have no transparency, not necessarily about the actions that are being made, but about who is making the decisions and why he's making those decisions. And I would caution everybody, please, again, read Project 2025, because Trump claimed that he didn't read it, right? That he didn't read it. He doesn't know anything about it. 36 of the acts that he has done in these very, very long, almost 3 weeks, come from Project 2025. And the other thing that I want to note, the final thing is Russell Vought, who is the architect of Project 2025, is now up to be the director of management and budget. He said, yes, somebody looks very shocked in the audience. That's the OMB office. When I was a federal prosecutor, that's a very important office. And the interesting thing about it is he says in Project 2025 that his goal is to slash federal funds and put civil servants in trauma. Sir.
Now, one thing I would say is Sonny Huston also has a lot to say about these things. And I strongly believe, besides the Trump derangement, a lot of this comes across as just misinformation. Well, I'll continue on.
Civil servants are serving their country. You do it not for the money, because you don't make any money. You do it to serve and help.
I want people to learn this word if they haven't heard it before. Kakistocracy, okay? With a K. Kakistocracy, not kakistocracy, kakistocracy. It is a government run by the worst, least qualified, or most unscrupulous citizens. And I feel it is exactly what we are living through right now. To your point, it's only been...
This is something that Greg's going to bring up in a minute. Where was all of this energy when Biden's administration was spending $2 million plus on experimenting with transgender mice? I'm sure that money could have gone to other worthy causes. And where was all of this heat and energy about transparency then? See, I think the issue is when you've got a group that are part of the elites, they're fine when there is little transparency and things are just quietly moving on in the background. Money's being spent, they're doing well. When work has been done to support the needs of the population, which is what the administrations are supposed to be there managing, they seem to have a lot to say.
2.5 weeks, God help us, we have to go through 4 years of this, which is why we need to set up some guardrails by making sure that there is a Democratic House or Senate in 2 years, because it is the only way that there will be any guardrails against what Donald Trump and Elon Musk is doing. I'm very worried about the conflicts of interest with Elon Musk that nobody seems to care about. This is a man who himself, his companies have gotten billions of dollars. Look.
Yeah, so you see, now you heard that. Now all of a sudden, you have the cackling hands on the View, who supported the least transparent administration in history, the Biden-Harris administration. Now, all of a sudden, they are pretending as if they are concerned about who's running our government when they weren't concerned about who was running our government under the Biden-Harris administration, in which it was clear that Joe Biden was not running our government. And also, our government was doing a really bad job. The American people were very dissatisfied with the Biden administration, but they had no concerns, right? Zero concerns whatsoever. But now, all of a sudden, you have concerns about transparency and who's running our government when we have a president in charge that actually is cognitively fit to be in office. And on top of that, he is enacting an agenda that the American people voted for, which is to make the government more transparent, something that these individuals really don't want.
I recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Good afternoon. Late last year, the White Coat Waste Project exposed more than $10 million in taxpayer funds that were spent creating transgender mice, rats, and monkeys. These DEI grants funded painful and deadly transgender experiments that forced lab animals to undergo invasive surgeries and hormone therapies at universities across the country. For example, the Biden-Harris administration spent $2.5 million taxpayer dollars to study the fertility of transgender mice. Federal funds were also used to forcibly transition male monkeys to see if hormone therapy made them more susceptible to HIV.
New reporting reveals that USAID and a CIA analyst were behind a project that later led to one of Trump's impeachments. Independent journalist Michael Schellenberger joins us to try to convince me that I should believe this. Shelley, always a pleasure. Good to see you, Mike.
Great to see you, Chris.
So, sell me on it. How much do you believe this?
Well, look, here's what we know. We know that USAID effectively created this organization called the Organized Crime and Corruption Research Project, Reporting Project, OCCRP, which nobody's heard of, but it teams up with well-known news media companies around the world. We know that it would not exist had it not rerouted a State Department grant from its narcotics enforcement division through USAID, and that USAID can sign off on all of the senior, has a requirement to sign off on all the senior staff and on the work plan. We also know that it did the foundational research that was essential to bringing the impeachment case against Trump in December of 2019. It was what the CIA whistleblower relied upon in his initial complaint in December of 2019. So those are the facts of it.
Wait, explain that part. Explain that part, Michael. Explain what they funded and how it's connected to what the CIA agent and who that was, what we know, because I thought it was the original guy was the British guy that was hired by the Oppo research place that Clinton had been working with, and he was collecting it from his sources. What are you believing now?
Yeah, I mean, this is the case of you remember, this is where Trump talks about the perfect phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky.
So this is his second impeachment.
Impeachment, yeah, of 2019. So this is basically a situation where the CIA person in the White House who'd been left over by Obama writes a complaint describing alleged violation of the law. This was then picked up and the House impeached Trump. The Senate, of course, declined to hear it. But I think what's so interesting here is that this is an organization that's behind it, that's funded by USAID, that would not exist without USAID, engaging in what I think you have to consider to be domestic politics, which is absolutely forbidden. You have to remember that our intelligence agencies, our foreign policy establishment, of which USAID is a big part, it's not really an economic development agency. I think people misunderstand that part. It's really about soft power. It's about establishing the power of the United States in like an aggressive way, including in regime change. The head of this group, OCCRP, actually brags of helping to change the governments in 4 or 5 different countries, actually brags of the regime change. So this looks like regime change tactics that the CIA and USAID had done abroad being brought back home against Donald Trump.
Yeah, transparency is the last thing that Democrats and liberals want, right? They definitely do not want that. which is why they're boohoo whining and crying about this so much, because of the fact that this is bringing transparency to what the federal government is wasting our taxpayer dollars on, okay? And the corruption that is rotten to the core of the government, right? And because that has been dismantled, the money train is over for these liberal nonprofits that end up giving these kickbacks to Democrats and their friends and their children and all this stuff, because the grift is over, right? The big Ponzi scheme with taxpayer dollars is over. Now they're boohoo whining and crying. They're upset. Okay, that's what they're really mad about. So that being said, let's actually go straight to the source here, Scott Bessent, who is in charge of the Treasury, right? So, you know, he is the guy that you would go to ask about Elon Musk and the work that he's doing. And it turns out that the Democrats and the mainstream liberal media, they were boohoo whining and crying over a big nothing burger. So without further ado, let's get into it.
There is widespread concern about the DOGE team's access to sensitive payment systems. Are you worried at all that that access and that tinkering of the payment systems could affect the Treasuries market or cause any disruption?
Good. Well, Saleha, thank you for asking me about that, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. First of all, when you say the DOGE team, these are Treasury employees. It is 2 Treasury employees, one of whom I personally interviewed in his final round. There is no tinkering with the system. They are on read-only. They are looking. They can make no changes. It is an operational program to suggest improvement. So we make 1.3 billion payments a year. And this is 2 employees who are working with a group of long-standing employees.
We've been getting a lot of complaints about fake Age of Empires games lately. So here's a heads up.
Yeah, so basically in a nutshell, what he's saying is that they have read-only access, which means they can't make any changes at all on their own. And any changes that they make or that they're suggesting probably would have to be approved by the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, right? There's no doubt in my mind any changes that they make have to be approved by him because he runs the Treasury, okay? So my guess is that they're probably using technology to, 1, identify wasteful spending, okay? And then 2, also on top of that, they're probably trying to upgrade the system, right? That's a big thing that President Trump wants to do. He wants to modernize the government, which would make the government more efficient. By definition, you need less employees if your systems are better, right? That is, I think, what the goal is here. So I think more so than anything, these engineers are essentially trying to figure out ways to upgrade and improve our infrastructure, right? I think this is more of an infrastructure project than anything. And it just so happens that being able to identify wasteful spending is also a part of the project as well, too. That's what's happening. Again, this is being overblown into something that is not. You have these leftists panicking, putting out lies, claiming that Elon Musk is looting the Treasury, right? I mean, this is defamatory stuff at this point.
So as you all know, Elon Musk illegally hacked the Treasury and ransacked it the other day with, I think it's 6 different 20-something-year-old pilled up Elon heads, I guess you can call them. Little sycophants to Elon, just fresh out of college, listening to everything he says, committing federal crimes on a whim. So he goes into the Treasury, elbows his way in the room, tries to hack the payment system. The acting secretary at the time said, "This is wildly illegal and I'm not going to let you do it." So Elon basically had him fired. He had to resign to get out of there. Then Scott Bessent, the new Treasury secretary who Trump picked, basically gives Elon free rein in there. Elon goes into the Treasury computers and starts deleting shit he wants to delete. He just starts deleting shit, right? He says, "I deleted the free tax filing system, which was brand new." He's like, "We got rid of that." They're going after USAID. They're apparently going after the Department of Labor. They're sending out all these notices to people, telling them to resign throughout the government. This is all totally illegal, totally unconstitutional. Congress has the power of the purse. The things that were signed into law are already done. Like, you can't retroactively say, "I don't like this, I don't like this." Who the fuck are you?
They want you to think that Elon Musk is going to take away grandma's check because he needs to be richer. Elon Musk doesn't need to be richer. That's what these people don't understand. These people don't understand that Elon Musk is not doing this for money. He doesn't need more money, right? He has all the money you could ever want. At this point, I really believe that Elon Musk legitimately wants to help our country run better and to be better. Because the better our country is, the better off that his projects will be, and he will be more likely to achieve his mission and what he wants to do, right? He wants to progress humanity forward. Now, some people are afraid of that. They don't know what that future entails. A more technologically advanced future. I understand that. But a technologically more advanced future is inevitable. And it's better to shape the culture of a technologically advanced future rather than to run away from it. Because it's going to happen, right? It doesn't matter what we do. It's going to happen, okay? And that's the thing that I love the most about this movement is that we have an opportunity going into the golden age of technology to culturally shape it and to conserve the values and the principles that made this country great in the first place, right?
Most definitely. I agree with everything he's just said there. And we'll end at that point. So thank you for spending a bit of time here with CornerSpeak, myself, ONUADA. Be good, be safe, be creative. Catch you next time. We out.